Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Meeting House in Springfield. For over 200 years, we have been preaching love and the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. Here, we don't expect to think alike, but to love alike. We invite you to join us in seeking truth and sharing love with our neighbors. My name is Melissa McKenzie. I'm one of the trustees. If you're a guest with us today, we invite you to enjoy being with us. Please take note of the announcements printed in the order of service.
Thank you so much, Melissa. And Sharon has the bell and the candle for us. Our opening words, as Sharon lights the candle, are from Albert Einstein. He said, "We cannot solve the world's problems with the same thinking which created those problems." We can't solve our problems with the same thinking that created it. The words of Albert Einstein. In this interesting time that we are living in, we witness around us too much disharmony, too much arguing, too much fighting. We gather, as Melissa said, as an intentional community to create harmony in the world. So let us start off by singing together this beautiful song. You probably all know the tune. It's Finlandia. Beautiful, beautiful tune. And the words are, "We would be one." The words, Deb will put them in the chat box for us. So may we begin this service bringing ourselves together with the intention of being vehicles of oneness and harmony in our interesting and challenged world. So Julaine will lead us. We would be one in building for tomorrow a nobler world than we have known today. May we join together in that spirit. I have a story to share with you, a kid's story. About 40 years or so ago, when I was living in Montpelier, Vermont, I started studying Aikido. Do you know Aikido? Deb is going to put a few images of Aikido up on the screen so you can see what I'm talking about. It's a martial art. You know what a martial art is? Think of karate, that kind of thing. Well, Aikido is a martial art, but it's a very peaceful one. And when we think about martial arts, we may think about fighting. But what's cool about Aikido, it's not about fighting. The idea is if someone comes at you, like they're going to attack you, they're coming at you. So someone's coming at me, I can like resist and meet them. You know, they might be coming at me with fists or angry words. I can fight back, or I can take their energy. Thanks, Deb. You see, there's two people bowing to each other, and then there's two people who are practicing Aikido. So I can take the energy that's coming at me, instead of resisting it, what I do is I kind of receive it and let it go right by me and let it go down to the ground. So the idea of Aikido, rather than fight back, it's like, okay, there's somebody who's got an angry gaze or mean words. I don't have to take them right on me. I just like, okay, look at that. Here's someone who's upset. Whew. Take it down to the ground. Easier said than done, isn't it? But that's what I love about Aikido, is it teaches us how to be peaceful people. Even when we're around on other people who are not peaceful. Doesn't matter. It's up to me. That's what I've learned from Aikido. It's up to me. Just because somebody says mean words to me, I don't have to say mean words right back. I can hear those mean words and, okay. It's like mail in the mailbox. You see a letter you don't want, leave it in the mailbox. Someone says a mean word to you, it's not for you. Let it go by. Let it go by. So I'm really, really grateful that I got to study Aikido years ago. And I want to invite you to think about in your own life, when someone attacks you physically or with mean words, how do you respond? You got a choice. That's what I love about Aikido. It showed me that I had a choice. So thanks for listening to my story. We're gonna save our "Oh Christmas Tree" song for after. I'm gonna keep talking about Aikido, and we're gonna sing our "Oh Christmas Tree" song after the story, and you'll see why. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite stories. It's from this book, which is called "How Can I Help?" by Ram Dass. Remember good old Ram Dass and Paul Norman. Wonderful, wonderful story. One of my all-time favorite stories, and I love it so much that I actually memorized it. So I'm going to share this story with you about Aikido. The train clanked and rattled through the streets, through the suburbs of Tokyo on a lazy afternoon. Our car was comparatively empty, just a few housewives with kids in tow and some old folks going shopping. I gazed absently out the window at the dusty hedgerows and the dreary houses. The door opened as we pulled into the station, and suddenly the quiet afternoon was shattered by a man shouting loud, violent, incomprehensible curses. The man staggered into our car. He was big, he was drunk, and he was dirty. He swung at a woman carrying a baby. It sent her sprawling into the laps of an elderly couple. It was a miracle the baby didn't get hurt. And the elderly couple ran to the back of the train to get away from the drunk. And he launched a kick at the retreating back of the old woman and missed. This so enraged the drunk that he grabbed the pole in the middle of the car and he tried to pull it out of his stanchion. I could see that he had cut himself and his hand was bleeding. The train lurched out of the station. All the passengers were frozen in fear. I stood up. I was young then, some 20 years ago. I had been practicing the art of Aikido 8 hours a day for about 3 years. I thought I was tough. The problem was, my martial arts training had never been tested in combat. As students of Aikido, we were not allowed to fight. Our teacher said, Aikido is the art of reconciliation. Whoever has the mind to fight has already lost their connection with the universe. If you want to dominate someone, you're already defeated. Aikido, my teacher said, is the art of how to resolve conflict, not how to create it. The wise words of my teacher, I tried to understand. I even went so far as to cross the street to avoid the pinball punks who would hang out outside the train station. I felt both holy and exalted. But the truth is, in my heart, I wanted an absolutely legitimate opportunity to save the innocent by destroying the guilty. This is it, I said to myself as I stood up. People are in danger. If I don't do something fast, somebody's gonna get hurt. Well, the drunk, seeing me rise, found an opportunity to focus his anger. All right, he said, a foreigner, I'm going to give you a lesson in Japanese manners. I stood there holding the commuter strap over my head, and I looked down at him with a disgusted, dismissive look. I was going to take this turkey out. But he needed to make the first move. So I wanted him angry. I pursed my lips and I blew him an insolent kiss. All right, said the drunk. You're gonna get a lesson. He gathered himself to lunge at me. A split second before he could rush at me, someone shouted, "Hey!" I still remember it was ear-splitting. I recall the joyful edginess to those words, as if you and a friend had been looking for something, and all of a sudden you found it. Hey! Well, I spun to my right. The drunk spun to his left. And we were looking down at a little old Japanese man. He must have been well into his 70s. This gentleman, immaculate in his kimono, he paid no attention to me at all. But he beamed delightedly up at the laborer. "Come here," he said in an easy vernacular. "Come here and talk to me." As he, with a twinkle in his eye, well, the drunk put his feet belligerently in front of the old man. "Why the hell should I talk to you?" he said, spittle spraying on the old man. Now he had his back to me. If he so much as moved his arm, his elbow, I would drop him in his socks. Well, the old man continued to beam up delightedly at the laborer. "What you been drinking?" he said. "I've been drinking sake," said the old man, "and it's none of your business." "Oh," said the old man, "that is wonderful. That is truly wonderful. You see, I love sake too. Me and my wife, well, she's 76, every night we take our bottle of sake and we heat it up and we take it outside and we sit on a wooden bench to watch the sun go down. And we look at our persimmon tree. My great-grandfather planted that tree, and we worry about how it's doing, especially after those ice storms back last spring. But I'm happy to say it's doing very well, especially when you consider the poor quality of the soil. It is so gratifying to take our sake and go outside and sit and enjoy the evening, even when it rains. The old man said, with a twinkle in his eye. Well, the laborer, standing there, his face started to soften, and his clenched fist started to open as he tried to follow the conversation of the old man. The laborer said, Yeah, I love persimmons too. And his voice trailed off. And the old man said, Yes, and I bet you have a lovely wife too. Standing there swaying with the movement of the car, the laborer said, No, my wife died. The big man began to sob. I ain't got no wife. I ain't got no home. I ain't got no job. I'm so ashamed of myself. Tears rolled down his cheeks, and a spasm of grief went through his body. Well, now it was my turn. Standing there in my well-scrubbed innocence and my make the world safe for democracy righteousness, I felt dirtier than he was. Well, the door opened as the train pulled into my stop, and I heard the old man cluck sympathetically to the laborer. My, that is a predicament. Come and sit down here and tell me about it. Well, as I left the train, I glanced back for one more look. The laborer was stretched out on the seat, his head in the lap of the old man, and the old man was gently stroking his filthy, matted hair. The train pulled out of the station. I leaned on the wall. What I had wanted to do with muscle had been done with kind words. I had seen Aikido and combat, and the essence of it was love. I was going to have to practice this art with an entirely different spirit, an entirely different heart. It would be a long time before I would be able to speak about the resolution of conflict. A story from How Can I Help? By Ram Dass and Paul Gorman. Julaine is going to play a little musical interlude as we sit with the impact of that story, and I want to invite you to consider the question, with whom in this story do you identify? Thank you, Jelaine. I love that song, Finlandia. Yeah. So with whom, Deb, would you spotlight me again? Thanks. So with whom in this story do you identify? I just love this story so much. And maybe you identify with different people at different times in your life. The fearful passengers, the people who are running away, who are immobilized, who encounter this awful situation and flee, freeze. It's so easy to freeze and flee in response. Totally understandable, probably often a very reasonable, rational response. How about the drunk? Do you identify with the drunk? I certainly do. Times in my life when I've been so angry, so upset, out of control, just spreading my yuck onto people around me out of my own pain. For me, it's not alcohol. Alcohol is not where I turn to soothe my pain. For me, it's sugar. And I know I have harmed people and in a insensible sugar high of just being so. It's all about trauma, isn't it? That drunk man. What I've come to understand is when someone's really angry, anger's on the surface. What's below? Almost always, it's hurt. It's some need that's not getting met, something important, some trauma. So do you identify with the drunk now or at times in your life? Striking out, trying to dull your pain with a substance, whatever it is, shopping, drugs, sex, the computer, running from your pain, and then becoming overwhelmed and insensible and unable to control yourself because the pain is so great and you're so disabled by your addiction, whatever it is. If you identify with the drunk, or if you just want more skill, and how do we deal with trauma? Because that's the thing. We all have traumas. It's what we do with it. We can reach for a substance to soothe the pain, or we can learn how to sit with that upset, to not run from it, and to go beneath our anger, to feel the hurt in our hearts. So if you want some practice and some ideas on how to do it, join us for our book group, which will be after the coffee hour today at noon. We're doing a practice session of breathing and being present, learning how to be present with our own bodies, because that's where the trauma is. It's in the body. How to be present. And what the author of the book says, it's called metabolize, how to metabolize our trauma so we don't have to react out from it, but that we can let it pass through and move on. So who do you identify with? The fearful passengers? The drunk? Do you identify with the Aikido guy, the guy who's going to save the world, who's going to save the righteous and harm the unworthy people? The guy who's going to come to the rescue? You have times like that in your life? Certainly a noble sentiment. Do you identify with the old man? That's who I admire in this story most. That's who I want to be. That's what I aspire to. To do that Aikido move. And it's funny, the old man is the littlest, oldest, weakest guy in the bunch, probably, and yet he saved the day. You don't have to be big and tough. What is it that he did, that old man? He took that energy, and he wasn't afraid of it. He actually took that energy and whew. Before the end of the story, the angry, violent drunk is spread out on the seat of the car, calmed down. Magic. This old man knows how to do magic. How did he become a person who could do that? Isn't it fascinating? Who is this mysterious old man who could do this? Like that, in an instant. Well, he gives us so many hints about who he is and how he lives his life when he tells the drunk about his daily ritual. He uses the story, the rhythm of that story, just to kind of draw the drunk in, confuse the drunk so the drunk calms down. Brilliant move. How did he become a person who could do that? Rhythm, ritual. He says, every night, me and my wife heat up our sake, and we go outside to watch the sun come down. Rhythm, every night. He has rituals. The old man has rituals. Connected with the earth, watching the sunset, watching the tree. Every night, something that he does to bring him outside and connect. What are your rhythms? What are your rituals? If you aspire to be like the old man in the story, you need rhythm. You need rituals. You need times each day where you can sit and remind yourself of what really matters, where you can calm down, enjoy the natural world. So rhythm and ritual. And the natural world, that's another thing that this guy does. He doesn't stay inside, even when it's raining. He goes outside. Some of you heard Kayum's beautiful Makerspace service a few weeks ago. I watched it. I wasn't able to be with you, but I watched it. It's wonderful. And Kayum has a suggestion to find a sit spot, a place outside where you go every day and you sit. Even when it's raining. So do you, and the point of it is, it calms you, it heals you. We need our connection with nature to put our bodies in rhythm with the natural cycles, to be fed by the air, the trees, the birds, the soil, just breathing in all those wonderful particles that revivify us. So do you have a rhythm, and do you have a regular connection with the outdoors? And if it's too cold or it's too hard to actually sit outside, you can find a window and have a ritual of sitting every day quietly. Find your spot and let yourself be healed by the beauty of nature. So the old man does these things. But he doesn't do them alone, does he? He has companionship. Every night, me and my wife. He has a community. He has someone to share these rituals with. So how about you? You're tuning in today. So the Springfield Meeting House and the weekly ritual of coming together on Sunday, that can be a touchstone for you. Because we can't do this work alone. We have to do it inside ourselves. It's an inside job. But to be with other people who lift us up, who share our enthusiasm for ritual and rhythm and nature, this helps us. And the old man knew this. So every night, me and my wife. And part of the community that he is connected with is his ancestors. My great-grandfather planted that persimmon tree. Are your ancestors part of your community? Are you connected with those who went before? Do you feel the continuity of your life? What your ancestors did and valued, especially in this time of the holidays? What were the rituals that you've inherited from your ancestors? What are their examples? Do you have a great-great-grandfather who planted a persimmon tree or some other tree? So connection with community, your ancestors, your friends, your spiritual community, these are all things that the old man has and does. And one of the really key interesting things that he shares as he talks about his daily ritual with the drunk is he says, it is gratifying to take our sake and go outside and enjoy the evening, even when it's raining. It's gratifying. He's a grateful man. He's not trudging through paradise. Oh, I've seen that persimmon tree 100 times. I'm not going to look at it again. No. Every day is new and beautiful for him. He's grateful. He's grateful. He loves his persimmon tree, and he is grateful that it's doing well. So here's this beautiful, gentle old man who has a rhythm to his life, his rituals and cycles that connect him with the natural world, that connect him with his ancestors, that connect him with community, that connect him with his persimmon tree, that fill his heart in gratitude. This is how he lives. And from living this way, this old man has a twinkle in his eye. This old man has a calm in his heart. And his daily ritual grounds him so that when he goes out into the world, he brings calm and beauty wherever he goes. And when he encounters a really touchy situation, he knows what to do. Stay calm. Connect on a heart level. Find the commonality with your supposed enemy. And in this case, it was the persimmon tree. The drunk is like, yeah, I like persimmons too. And when the old man is able to calm the situation down, the drunk gets out of that reactive angry mode, gets into his body, and in the swaying movement of the car, he gets in touch with his pain. The violence goes away as the drunk touches the brokenness of his own heart. And rather than judgment, the old man gives him compassion. My, that is a difficult predicament. And strokes his filthy matted hair. So how about you? When I think about this story, and I think about our current challenges around police brutality, I so wish that this tiny old Japanese man could train our police forces. Not how to be like the Aikido guy, I'm gonna save humanity with my muscle. No, I'm gonna calm down the upset person with my compassionate heart. And I love that the Aikido guy at the end, he says, what I tried to do with muscle was done with kind words. Whew. Wow. And the Aikido guy says, I'm going to need to practice with a completely different spirit, with a completely different heart. I saw Aikido tested in combat, and the essence of it was love. So to go back to those words of Einstein with which I opened the service, we can't solve our problems with the same mindset that created it. We see around us a world of problems, but at the same time, we see a world of love. Many, many people are like that tiny old Japanese man, many people have cultivated a heart of calm. So we can change ourselves and become like the old man. Not trying to fix the problems of the world with the same combative energy that created it. It's only going to make it worse. What we need is the change of heart. To approach life, including anger and challenges, to approach it with compassion and love. To disarm the anger by not getting pulled into it, but by staying completely centered and steady in love. And how do we get there? By all those things I said that the old man showed us that he does. Rhythm, ritual, connection with nature, connection with community, connection with ancestors, loving a tree, having a grateful heart. So this is what we need in the world today, not a technological fix. We need the change of heart. We need to practice our lives with a completely different spirit, not a combative spirit, a compassionate spirit. And we need to heal our own traumas so that we can encounter others in distress with calm, knowing it's part of life. It's all okay. We all are hurt. We all go through traumas, and we can heal. Absolutely. Come to the book group at noon for more examples of how to heal. We can do this work, folks. We can and we must. It's a spiritual revolution. It is a spiritual transformation within each one of us that is healing and lifting the world. So how about you? Where are you at? You identify with the fearful people who are running from the drunk? Identify with the drunk himself? Identifying with the righteous Aikido guy? Striving to be the tiny little old Japanese man who carries love and peace in his heart. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. Well, we're going to sing O Tannenbaum, a holiday song, but we're going to add one verse at the end. O persimmon tree, how beautiful your branches, in honor of the old man who shows us the way of connection with nature. So Julaine is going to lead us, and Deb can highlight Julaine.
Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Your boughs so green in warmer time, stay bravely green in winter time. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Your pillars blaze unfaithfully, our trust in God unchangeably. Oh Christmas tree, how lovely are your branches. Oh persimmon tree, how lovely are your branches. Persimmon tree, how lovely are your branches. Your boughs are green in summertime, your fruit so sweet in autumn time. Persimmon tree, oh persimmon tree, how lovely are your branches.
Thank you, Julaine. Yay for our connection with trees. And oh, you've got a persimmon. Laurel's got a persimmon. Isn't that great? Perfect. Thank you, Laurel. Lovely. Yeah, that's so sweet. Wonderful.